Freakonomics Radio is sponsored by Adidas. Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Yay Networks.
Hey, what's going on? I'm JC and I'm fit.
And I'm Jenna, and I guess that means I'm ish.
Welcome to the Fittest Podcast. Now, you've heard us on the radio before, but this is completely different.
I know you're going to get to see a much deeper, more intense, and edgier side of both of us.
Our ups, our downs, our hilarity, all that good stuff on the Fittest Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Fittest Podcast with Jenna in her mint dress.
Oh, God, I could barely get it on.
Do you still want to wear like dressy dresses now that you're pregnant?
The reason I like it is I will have some stuff to do today, and and it's stretchy-ish, so it's like when you try to put on jeans, I made a grave mistake of buying jeans that were 2 sizes too big, which now are tight already. So they're 2 sizes bigger than my normal size. And I was like, well, this is great because I wanted to wear jeans, you know, when I just went to Wyoming. And but I'm not going to be able to wear them for very long. And then you throw like $100 away, and maybe I can give them to my mom. But the point is, stretchy clothes are best. So you're either looking at sweatpants or stretchy dresses.
Kinsey's maternity jeans when she was pregnant looked so comfortable.
Did they have the big band?
Yeah, it had the band.
The stretchy band. And then you have to wear, but that's what's so
like
weird.
Sweatpants.
I was just talking to one of the girls that works for me. You have to wear your jeans. The maternity jeans are all like at your hips. So it's like low rise, and then they have a band in there. Mm-hmm. But that's so strange to me because I only wear high-waisted stuff. And so to think about jeans that are at the hip level, because you can't wear high-waisted when you're pregnant unless it's stretchy.
It might give you the vibe that it's high-waisted to you, like in your head because of the band, but then they look low-risey.
Yeah, some company sent me a bunch of stuff. Blanky is their name, which is great. I mean, they're not paying me or anything. They just reached out and sent me, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll take some maternity freebies because I have no idea even what I need. Like, they have these weird t-shirts that like snap so you can like pop a nip out and breastfeed.
For the
yeah. And it's kind of cute, actually, you know? And I was like, oh God, I didn't even think about this. Like, I bet you're going to want that though. I mean, because imagine like trying to lift up your whole shirt. Instead, you can just like flap it open, almost like, I guess, your boxers,
like
right?
a secret agent breastfeeder, you know, in public. Yeah. Nobody will know. You just pop.
But I got to tell you what's killing me, and maybe you were this way.
What?
Fran is like, I love him, and he's more excited about becoming a parent than I am. And I can be honest, my emotions have been mixed. I waver between I'm excited but also impatient. Like, okay, like little dude, like where the fuck are you? Like, when is this? I feel like you're pregnant for an eternity. Mm-hmm. And my boobs are killing me, you know, and they're changing. Like your nipples get dark and like hard, and my left one's real sensitive. And he like every day he comes home, he puts his face down here in my pelvis, and he's talking to him in Spanish.
Hola chiquitito, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, no, it's great because and then he's telling me that he doesn't think that I'm communicating with the child enough. And I am like, this fucking baby alien hears me talk right now. He's hearing me talk.
Yeah, he's part of this podcast.
He is going to know Mama Jenna's voice way more than anyone else's voice because I'm loud and I have this bass in my voice. He hears me talk all day long.
For sure.
I'm not speaking to him because I am not, you know, the baby spirit, as they call it. I have not connected with the baby spirit yet, but Frank gets down there every day and he'll put his face. I mean, he wants to like pull my pants down and put his face there. Yeah. With like no oral pleasure happening after that. He's just talking to the little baby alien. And then he like wants to lift up my shirt and look at my nipples. And I'm like,
that's weird.
I just feel no.
Yeah, definitely did not do that.
And he just like, he's like, how are the boobs? Like he wants to see how the baby is. He wants to see, I'm just revealing a lot to y'all today. How are the boobs? How's the baby? And I just kind of lay there like I'm just an experiment. Like this is what, you know, I tell myself, this is what the man needs to do to connect. And a lot of women have told me that men have a very hard time connecting with you, with the baby, especially even when you have the baby, because then the baby's attached to you. And so for a while, it can be hard for the guy to connect with the baby right away because they don't really do a whole lot, right? And so this is him. He's making strides. Like he's connecting. And so I'm just like, you know what? This is how he feels connected to the pregnancy. So I'm just going to let him do it.
I will have his back. I also was a baby talker. I was a big fan of getting next to the belly and talking. Yeah. I would sing to the babies as well. And I also did some humming. Because I heard humming
Yeah.
would calm them down. So I'd get down there near the belly and just get, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I did that, but I didn't check on the nipples.
You didn't do a nipple check?
I wasn't doing the nipple check. I was just, if they would pop out and she'd show me and show me
He does like a twice a day nipple check. I'm like, they're still here and they're dark and I'm uncomfortable in my body. It hurts to even get dressed.
It is fascinating though to us guys, because it's different and we're along with this journey. And so the more you're willing to share with us, the more we're there.
I don't know what he wants out of these nipples.
I don't know.
Like they're not squirting milk or anything
not
yet, you know?
But eventually they will be, and he'll be really interested in that as well.
I'm sure I'm going to have one boy on one and that one on the other.
He's going to probably want to help make sure that you don't have any clogged ducts, because you don't want that. That's painful from what I hear. Yeah.
I'm just going to say this, like, and I'm going to say it because a lot of women say, You know what happens when you're pregnant? You're allowed to do things you're like regular people can't. Yeah,
you're allowed to do and say
guess what? I didn't
things.
do a gender reveal. It's a boy. I have not enjoyed being pregnant, and maybe I will. I'm at 16-ish weeks, 17 weeks by the time you hear this. I guess I haven't enjoyed it. And you hear a lot of women like, I loved being pregnant. I'm sure it's because the IVF. Like I feel like I've been doing this for 6-7 months, so it's been I guess more like 9 months. It's been a grind. 9 months just to get pregnant for 10 months. But I haven't enjoyed it at all. Like I feel that it's taken me away from my business. It's, I'm tired, I'm hungry. With COVID, I don't do anything because I'm trying to be really safe. So I'm home most of the time. It was really nice to get away for a couple of days, but I was tired, honestly. I couldn't horseback ride. I couldn't do anything fun.
Yeah.
I'm already not that fun. Like, let's be honest. Like I'm already not, like you would never say like, wow, Jenna, you seem like so much fun. I'm not. The older I've gotten, like I'm not a fun person to begin with.
We become more recluse the older we get.
I'm reclusive. Yeah. I really don't care to do a whole lot. I'm not a big drinker. I've actually been like dying to smoke pot or do something like that lately, probably just because I can't. And I actually hadn't been, I used to be a pot smoker. And then for the last few years, I haven't smoked pot at all. I don't know why. I just like stopped. I just wasn't in the mood. I think running my business and doing all of that, I just wasn't gravitating towards it. And now, of course, I'm like, I want to smoke pot. I want to smoke a cig. Like none of these cravings have not left.
You got the weirdest pregnancy cravings. Like most women want like McDonald's burgers or like Cheerios or something.
I had a McDonald's burger at 9:45 in bed last night.
Yeah, you did.
Which is great. I've been eating like shit. I haven't wanted anything healthy. I haven't exercised. I just haven't enjoyed being pregnant. And I'm hoping I think this bump's going to pop out even more at like 20 weeks or so. Hopefully I'm just like a month away. It'll cool off, but
it's all, you're getting it.
I'm a little bit. Yeah, I guess. I don't know if it's food or baby. He's an avocado.
It's baby.
He's an avocado now.
Your dress color, yes.
But yeah, maybe once you feel him kicking and stuff, I'm like, well, anyway, I mean, that's just me complaining, but I'm just being honest.
Listen,
I haven't enjoyed this. I haven't hated it, but I haven't enjoyed it.
Every journey is going to be different. So don't feel like you got to be enjoying everything that comes with pregnancy.
Though, right?
I know,
like women are like, I love being pregnant. Like I felt so sexual. I've at least been like in the mood a lot more lately, which is good because I'm sure Fran was like, I'm going to leave her if we never have sex again.
Well, also as guys, we're like, yo, we can't even get her pregnant again. So like that's bonus.
Yeah.
You're like nothing, no risk, all reward.
Yeah. So at least that's good. But yeah, I just haven't enjoyed it. I just wish I was that woman that's like, oh, I just felt so good pregnant. I had so much energy and I felt so sexy. And I was
you see those posts, Jenna, but they went.
And I wear an oversized sweatshirt every day.
They went through it too. I bet you they had their moments too where they were like, oh, this sucks. I can't even turn over in the middle of the night. You know who's tough for? It's the belly sleepers. Can't belly sleep when you're pregnant. That's tough for them. I feel
I've started to get a little uncomfortable. I'm a back sleeper, but then you're also not allowed to do that at some point because you're cutting off. Yeah, you end up you got to do the side, and that pregnancy pillow is so big that I have 2 of them, and they are just on the ground. I haven't started using them yet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You'll be all right. Well, if your baby needs some help later on because of Fran's creepy talking to the baby, or maybe you want to call them up, BetterHelp is awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I think women talk so openly about postpartum and I worry about that. I mean, with all these hormones, you feel so weird. And so, JC and we're no strangers to therapy in general, especially these days. Virtual therapy is an amazing option, and that's precisely what BetterHelp is. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your issue is. It could be, for me, I mean, postpartum is not an issue for everyone, and hopefully that's not something I deal with. But if it is, BetterHelp will match you up with the doctor, right, that'll fit that, that kind of condition, what you're dealing with.
Because therapy could be whatever you want it to be. So whether it be marital issues, or it could be trauma that you suffered in the past and you want to get it out there, or it could be something that you're going through right now. Maybe you just don't feel right and you need somebody to talk to. BetterHelp is perfect for that. And look, we're in this COVID world right now where maybe going into an office is not your forte, or maybe you don't even like talking to people in general, person to person. You could do live chat sessions. You could do on the phone. You could do virtual meetings. BetterHelp is there to make everything better for you and easy at the same time.
You know, I haven't shared this with really many people yet, and I wasn't really planning on it. But since we're talking about therapy and kind of being vulnerable, I've been thinking about doing some therapy myself right now because of what happened with my transfer. And I think I told you this, but you know, I've still been kind of struggling with it. We transferred a girl embryo, but they accidentally transferred a boy. That's just the gist of it. I'm not going to bog you down with a long story. It's pretty shocking. And you know,
it affects you mentally. You know, you're
and I
hoping,
think Fran's
expecting
really
something.
excited. And I think I was bummed because he seems like he'd be a really good girl dad. And you know how little girls are with their dads, and then they say little boys love their moms, and then I worry because he's so badly, like I said, I mean, I feel like he's going to be a better parent than I am. He swears he's fine with it. I mean, he was upset about the error, obviously, because it created a lot of issues just for us worrying when we found out we were pregnant. Like, how does a fuck up like that happen? But, you know, the doctor, they tried to make it right. I mean, you know, they refunded. I don't know how that makes it right. Like, I get a refund. Like, it's a fucking cheeseburger, but like, you know, I know I'm going to be thrilled with a boy, but it's just, you know, I've been struggling with it. Like, I'm still having moments, and I know a lot of women have gender disappointment is what they call it. And that's, you know, you get pregnant naturally, you're hoping for a girl or a boy, and then you find out it's the opposite of what you wanted. And they say that can usually actually last a couple of months with women, and then they get over it. And of course, everyone says once you meet that baby, everything's just amazing. And I'm sure we're going to be sitting here and he's going to be like so amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, don't ever tell him this. And it's not that I am sad about a boy, because I think I'd like to have one of each. It's just when you plan and you go through this process and you get to pick and you pay all this money and you know the sex, and then you're like, okay, we're going to have a girl, and the first one was a girl and it failed. I don't know if I told you all that. We chose a girl, so I had one more girl left, so we said do the other girl. There was some mix up. They did a boy. So when I found out I was pregnant, it was a boy, and it was like the most overwhelming combination of emotions. Like, Fran was so mad. I thought he was going to murder someone, and I was like, you're so happy that it worked, but you're also like hysterically crying because you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, is it ours? So I just think I've been like dealing with that, you know.
And in the end, all you want, whether it be a boy or a girl, you just want a healthy baby. Yeah. Right. That's and I know it's so shocking, and I know and you should feel that, and you have the right to feel that, and that's okay. And if you want to reach out and talk to one, you should, Jenna. Absolutely.
I know, because I think Fran gets upset when I say, I've told him a couple of times, I'm like, I'll have these like moments in the day that I'm like, oh, I've been ordering boy clothes, and, you know, and I have, you know, one of my employees, actually, she has 2 boys. She only had boys. She's like, Jenna, you have no idea. You're going to love it. You're going to be such a good boy mom. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I think I know that I will, but I still have these moments of like, you see a cute little girl or the little girl clothes, you know, there's so much cute little girl stuff. And Fran's so wonderful, because he'll be like, we've been watching Modern Family and Dexter, because he had never seen Dexter. And so there's like issues with the girls on the show, right? Like his stepdaughter and the girls on Modern Family. Mm-hmm. And so he always will like stop it and be like, look at what a nightmare these teenage girls are, you know, to try and make me feel better about having a boy. Because obviously I think emotionally boys are a lot easier usually.
I have both.
Yeah, you have one of each.
They both have their ups and downs. But look, everything's going to be okay. And look, and if you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to BetterHelp.
Oh, sorry, we didn't even give them the...
It's okay, Jenna, because you know what? You went into a real life story, and this is exactly what we need. So if you want to try BetterHelp, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/fitish. That's BetterHelp.com/fitish. And you're not alone when it comes to that. And I know that if anybody had that same... I don't even want to call it a mistake, because you're still getting a baby.
It's a mistake.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
It was a huge mistake. No, but what's funny is I was sharing this with a girl at the swimming pool one day, and she told me the craziest story that you may have read in the news, but there was a doctor somewhere in West Texas, where was it?
I'm in. Go ahead.
That an IVF doctor in a smaller town that was inseminating all of these women with his own.
Yes.
You remember this story?
What a freaking creeper.
She was the product of that, and she's my age. She has 3 kids of her own now. So she's become this like huge advocate for awareness and transparency about IVF and checks and balances and all of that. So, you know, you tell someone the story and then they always have a worse story, like, you know,
It could be worse. Now, this dude was like thousands of babies, right? Like, wasn't he like
Hundreds.
Not thousands, but still.
And obviously, I think he's in jail now. I'm not sure, but I mean, as he should be. But yeah, pretty wild story. But it's just crazy. I think with some of the, I don't know. I guess you just think when you go through a process that there are checks and balances, and especially the way they do this, like they call you the night before and they ask which embryo you want. And a lot of times people will say, well, I just want the healthiest one. Because a lot of people still want to have some semblance of naturalness to this process. Because it's so, I always say, I feel like it's like a scientific Handmaid's Tale. Like I'm just like laying there and they're inseminating you. And so I think some people are like, they still want to have an element of surprise, but I didn't. I wanted to choose. Like I knew that I had 3 boy embryos and 2 girl, and I just, for whatever reason, and Fran was supportive. And so, you find that out. And then it's not the issue of a boy, JC, as much as it's like, is it ours? Because like if a mix up like that happens, like, is this baby going to come out a different race?
If your baby comes out blonde hair, blue eye, that's going to be.
My Claudia, our friend, my good girlfriend went through IVF, and she goes, I guess they were going to do something one day and they brought something out to her and had the different person's name on it, and she caught it. But they make you sign so much stuff and get stuff notarized that you would just think this wouldn't happen. But it was a simple mistake. I mean, they said they are sure that it's ours, and she made a joke. She's like, well, this would be a way you'd get really rich off of this. I was like, this isn't the way I want to become rich. You know what I mean? By like having a child that wasn't actually mine. It was someone else's. Like, this isn't the way I want to make a lot of money. Like how traumatic that would be. But yeah. So yeah, that girl told me that story. She's like, what a mess, hundreds of kids. And then your father isn't your actual biological father. And I mean, what a fucked up doctor to do that sort of thing. You know, this was just a simple communication breakdown.
Put the wrong one in.
Putting the best one in. So he's healthy at least. But anyway, I know I wasn't even planning on sharing that story. I don't know. I think just talking about therapy was like, I've been kind of struggling with it.
If that's happened to you, because I feel like this shouldn't happen very often, but I'm wondering if it's happened a lot.
They told me this is the first time it happened since they've been in business. But when you talk to that's just at my practice. When you talk to other people, in general, you hear about this kind of stuff quite a bit. I've heard that, there was a breakdown one day at the testing of the embryos because they send them off when you pay to do genetic testing. Yeah. And you need to understand this is something that you pay about $5,000 to do, and you don't have to do it, but it's recommended when you're 35 and older. And it allows me to avoid getting that amniocentesis. Like I don't have to do what you would have to do when you're 35 and older to check for certain things with the baby, and that's when they put the huge needle in your belly. Anyway, so, you're required to do blood work for Down syndrome and stuff like that, just to check and see. Sure, yeah. And when you're over 35. So by doing the embryos, since we did it this way, it's just, you also learn about 5 other kind of chronic diseases that the child might have and chromosomal issues. And so that's how you rule that out, which is really nice. And
that's how they get the healthiest one.
But that's also how they know the sex.
Oh.
So you don't necessarily have to know. You could tell them to keep it a secret, but I knew, and for whatever reason, my choice, whatever, I decided to choose which one I put in.
I don't know if you'll have this too, especially with what you went through, but sometimes I wonder, like, what if my kids were reversed? Like, what if Kason would have been a girl and Chloe would have been a boy? Like, would they be the same? Especially around their birthdays, because Chloe just had her 8th birthday.
Yeah, amazing. And I can't believe it.
And she's our first of all, when somebody puts happy birthday to our rainbow baby, we know what we mean. Because I put that on mine, and I got a lady that responded by saying, that is inconsiderate. You're a jerk. You should know what that means. That's reserved for people who have lost children.
Yeah.
How do you not know that? How do you know that we aren't that
How
family?
Do you know? Yeah, because it's for if women had a lot of miscarriages.
So we did that. If you didn't know, Kinsey and I had a miscarriage before we had Kinsey. Yeah. Because we wanted our kids pretty back to back. And we didn't find out the sex of the baby yet. We were planning on it, and then we lost the baby. And we had that really, really hard conversation when the doctor cleared her to try again right then. Mm-hmm. And I told her, if you're not ready, we can wait as long as you want, years if you need to. Yeah. And she said, no, I want to try again. Mm-hmm. And that's where Chloe came from. It was all because of Kinsey's strength and determination that she really wanted this family to be how it was. And she's 8 years old already. Being a girl dad is the best. Jenna, she's doing shit that I've never been able to do. Kinsey's never been able to do. It's just something about she can do a back walkover.
Oh, just gymnastics.
Gymnastics stuff, like,
flexible, yeah.
like she's flexible. Kinsey and I are not flexible people. She could do the splits. Like she's doing stuff.
I'm sure it's
like,
pretty amazing to see like where does it even
where
come from, right?
Like, where's that coming from? Because it's not from me. It's not from Kinsey. We're not flexible people. Like it is so cool to watch these kids
Just
grow.
their personalities. Yeah.
I guarantee you and Fran are going to be so in love with your baby boy. I just know it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great. And I'll forget all of this, Now
your baby boy will be here soon. I almost was not here today.
Okay, what happened today?
This is a Fitish exclusive.
Oh, great.
Because it happened on my way to record this podcast.
So you did the show this morning, the radio
Did the show this morning.
Yeah.
It was cool. Radio shows are cool and everything, but this is a fucking podcast, right? This is shit right here because we can cuss. No, I got in my car and I started driving down to your office because this is where we do the podcast from Jenna's office.
Yeah.
And I'm driving out of my neighborhood and there's a lot of construction going on. So there's a lot of dudes, just parked over with their trucks or whatever. I'm driving. All of a sudden I feel something just pop on my head. Like a thud.
Are you in a convertible?
No, I'm in my freaking car, Jenna. It's not a convertible. I'm not like that. I'm not a convertible.
First of all, is your window down?
Here's the thing about it. Thank you for bringing convertibles. I don't get it.
No.
I don't get convertibles. I don't want the wind all up in my freaking face.
Well, let's be honest. Convertibles are only good like maybe 30 days out of the year.
The sun
especially in Texas.
Right, like the sun's beating down on you. Then all of a sudden you get rain starts falling. Then you got to fucking get the roof to. No, I'm not a convertible guy. I'm in a nice, solidly closed up car. So I'm in my car. I feel this thud on the head. I'm like, what's that? And then I feel crawlies, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like on my head.
Okay, can I ask, am I ruining it by asking, like, was your sunroof open or your window open? Oh, okay, so this was something that was in the car.
I also don't care for sunroofs. I've had cars with sunroofs. I don't use it. Again, I don't care for anything above me.
Let a little light into your life sometimes, man.
It's a window type roof, so I'm getting the
vitamin D every now.
I'm getting the vitamin D. My elbow's out the window. I get the crawly starts, Jenna, and then it gets to my hairline and on my neck.
Ugh.
And that is where I feel like, oh shit, I've seen how this ends. I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
You're not dead. Why didn't you throw it in the park and roll out of the car? That's what I would have done.
I swerved. And this is what I'm mostly ashamed of, everyone. Okay, I try to be a dude. I'm trying to be a man. I'm trying to raise a man. I'm trying to be a protector for my wife and my daughter.
You got out of the car like,
as soon as I felt that on my neck, Jenna, I screamed. Oh, like loud, like the loudest scream. I let go of the steering wheel. I almost hit the curb. I screamed so loud that when I stopped, I see this dude poke his head out of the work van that was right there that I almost hit.
Yeah.
I almost hit the work van too.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Like he mouths it. And I'm like, "No." I grabbed it, by the way. So I grabbed whatever was on my neck and I pull away and I'm expecting a tarantula.
That's what you're making it sound like.
Yeah.
You felt the thump on your head.
I'm expecting a tarantula.
Like an Australian spider.
So
yeah.
I'm like, I pull it off and I go like that and I see a tail. I see a tail poking out and I open my hand and a freaking gecko jumps at my face.
What tail?
And then freaking scurries, God knows where in my car.
Ugh.
And so I'm sitting there and that's when the dude pokes out his head. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro. I'm sorry I almost hit your van." He goes, "No, man, I heard you scream. I thought you were having a medical emergency." Like the man was getting ready to call 911. I'm like, "No, bro, it was a gecko." And he looked at me like, "A what?" I said, "It was a gecko." And he goes, this guy looked at me like I was the biggest vagina he's ever seen in his life. But listen, bro, like you didn't feel it on your head. You didn't think your life was about to end by some freaking two fangs going into your neck because of this ginormous tarantula
lizard
that can thud on you. Like,
did you take a photo of the gecko?
He's still in the car. I don't know. He wasn't that little, Jenna. I know you did a little. He was.
Everyone knows lizards here are not large.
Not that big. I'm going to
no.
be honest. Now that I know it's a gecko, I'm not as
small,
afraid.
Translucent lizard.
Yeah, it was the little white ones. It was, but it was
still scary when you can't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he's still in my car, and I don't want to, because I'm not afraid of now that I know that he's there, and if I feel him crawling on me, I'll be fine. But how do I get him out? Is my question, because those things are. I
would just park your car with your windows open.
Yeah, and let more geckos in because he's gonna be like, "Yo, everybody, come on in here."
Oh yeah, because like geckos are just everywhere climbing into cars.
Clearly this one is, and they got homies. So as soon as I get home,
what would you do if you had like a bird in the house? You would open all the doors and windows and try and use a broom to get it out, right?
I get my BB gun out.
You're gonna hunt
target
it.
practice.
Got it.
That's what I'm gonna do, but not with the gecko. I'm cool with it. But yeah, I could have crashed. I could have died.
You could put a cat in the car.
I could do that.
I mean, I'm giving you solutions on how to get rid of that. Cat will find that lizard in a heartbeat.
Or I could leave the gecko in there because they eat. So I did a little
bugs.
They eat bugs.
Yeah.
So they eat flies, mosquitoes, and tarantulas, spiders.
And tarantulas.
Well, spiders. I think a tarantula would probably.
Tarantulas are very, very popular in this region, right?
I don't know because I've seen some spiders now lately that are humongous.
Yeah.
And they jump. That's that wolf spider.
I know. I don't hate snakes and spiders. I mean, I'm not one of those. I mean, what would you prefer have landed on you, a spider or a snake?
A snake.
Yeah.
I can hold snakes.
Mm-hmm.
I am deathly afraid of spiders.
Yeah, you don't like spiders.
I don't like them. My heart rate, Jenna, I almost hit.
They are scary. I mean, tarantulas are pretty harmless, but they're very that fur and those fangs and those eyes. They are scary looking.
Yeah, I almost hit a damn parked van because I was scared of what I thought was a spider.
What you thought was a spider.
And so I've always wanted to potentially one day maybe if I hold a tarantula in a controlled environment.
I've done it, and I'll tell you, they feel very weird. I actually had one on my face once.
See now,
there's this place outside of Puerto Vallarta where they filmed Predator. Is this ringing a bell with anyone? That you can go zip lining. I'm sounding like can't even say. You go zip lining, and you can. They had an option there that you can hold a constrictor or put a tarantula on your face for a free shot. And you know me, I'm like, I'll do any of it. Because I love animals.
Absolutely.
I love the animal kingdom in general.
No.
I don't want to own spiders and snakes, but yeah, I did that. And yeah, the tarantula is I don't know. They're a little scary. Yeah. Cause the feet can be kind of sticky and the fur is very weird and they are very large. So they're just, I get it. They're definitely.
Did you know that they have little hairs that they can they rub their legs and these hairs go all up in your nose and they make you it's almost like pepper spray.
Oh,
that's their way of protecting themselves.
A decade later, I did not know when I had one on my face.
Yeah, tarantula hair can get all up in there. They just rub their little back hairs and they get all up in your nose and irritate you. It's not going to kill you, but.
Speaking of animals, though, did you see the kind of shit I saw in Yellowstone?
Yeah, you were out there freaking living life in the wilderness.
Apparently, we lucked out. Yeah, I booked a last-second trip to Yellowstone. It's always been a dream of mine to go to that park. And truthfully, Fran's been working a ton. I mean, I'm talking 7 days a week, which is great. I think he has this motivation, with baby on the way and stuff. But I'm home by myself all the time and bitching about it. So I was like, well, I don't really want to do anything here. It's hot as shit. And my mom and I haven't done anything together for a while. So I just very spontaneously booked her and I a trip to go to Yellowstone for a few days, or Jackson Hole. And it was amazing. But yeah, I did a full day tour with a guide, just her and I. And I would just, being quick about it, I would recommend if you go to Jackson Hole, I had never been before. I'd always wanted to go to Wyoming and or Montana.
That's a funny name.
Jackson Hole?
Yeah, Jackson Hole.
So I'd never been. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of assumed it would be a cooler Colorado or something, some of the cool tourist towns. And it was stunningly beautiful and freezing cold in the morning at night, which was amazing. I mean, it was 39 degrees and then it would get to 75 during the day. So it couldn't have been better.
Kind of like California weather, but a little colder at night.
And getting colder and colder as we were there because they said they're going to get their first snow soon. But, I have to say, so I booked us at a really nice hotel and I was so disappointed with it. It was so expensive and it was definitely kind of in a ski village. So I'm sure in the wintertime it's great, but they have people, you would have loved it because all the kids and adults that mountain bike are taking their bikes up on the lift and then doing mountain biking down the huge mountain,
Nope.
But I went to go ride the lift up with her one day and so I walked over and, the lifts run and there's apparently a restaurant and a spot to get a drink at the very top and it's very high up. And I was like, well, this is fun. We'll just ride up and ride down. It was $80. It was $40 a person. And I'm like,
for a lift?
For a lift ticket, which makes sense if you're skiing or, mountain biking all day long, I guess. But I was like, no, we're just going up and down. like one time, and it was $40 a person. And I was like, fuck. And the hotel was super expensive, and it just kind of sucked, to be totally honest. And so I decided if and this is just a recommendation to anyone that wants to go, it was amazing. Jackson Hole was like a hell of a lot smaller than I realized. Like the town itself and everything about it was kind of like a far drive. Like you can't just like call an Uber to the hotel. So you have to like book cars in advance. Like it was just much more low key than I expected it to be.
Small town.
All of that being said, it was beautiful, but I would just highly recommend if you go there, you just got to focus on those national parks because that was by far the best day that we had. I mean, we got picked up at 6:00 in the morning. We did 2 national parks. We really lucked out with the animals this time of year. He said he's taking people on these private tours and you don't see a bear, you don't see a moose. I saw everything. I took a really nice camera. I mean, so I got to see, I most wanted to see a bison and a bear. And then we saw a grizzly, which I posted a photo of, and, beavers and other stuff, like a lot of the antelope looking things, which they're actually called
Were the beavers angry?
Horns, the beavers. I didn't get a good look at a beaver. We saw one kind of floating along. Beavers are pretty big.
Yeah, they're big old beavers.
Saw a couple wolves feasting on a carcass in the middle of a lake. And anyway, it was stunning to go to Yellowstone, but I highly recommend if you go to Jackson Hole to do something like that. He told me that they could actually pick you up from the airport, take you on like a 2-3 day excursion, and you stay in a lodge somewhere right outside of the park because the park was like a 2-hour drive from the hotel in Jackson Hole. So anyway, that's what I would recommend. There's cool dude ranches, all different price points. So if you go, skip out on the nice hotels or the hotels in town and just like focus on staying somewhere that they do horseback riding and stuff around the national park. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't horseback ride, couldn't go rafting. There's a lot of things, fly fishing. I didn't want to do anything too active. I mean, you can't horseback ride when you're pregnant unless you, I think, do that for a living.
Or ATVs, nothing that makes you go up and down like the baby will get
no
off.
fun for me.
No
but it was beautiful. So yeah, if you go, I just recommend, going with the intention of like roughing it a little bit or staying somewhere more remote because that's going to be the great experience.
I saw animals too this weekend since you were mentioning it.
What'd you
I went to a farm, like a local farm. Yeah.
I've been wanting to do that.
It was cool. It was like 40 minutes outside of town. And this lady lives on her farm and she has pigs. Little pigs, they cry when you pick them up. Like you're gonna
they
kill
squeal.
them.
Oh,
Like you're killing them.
Mm-hmm.
It was
they squirm and squeal.
My daughter was not a fan.
What else did she have?
She had a horse that charged at me.
A regular size horse, not a mini horse.
It was a regular size. She had a mini horse too, but it was a regular size horse. He charged at me because I didn't say hey. Apparently,
he didn't like you.
This is what scared my kids when we first got there. They had a huge dog, and it was muddy because it was hot. So the dog goes in the mud to cool down. I said, "Oh, that's a wolf." That was a dog. They had kangaroos. The kangaroos were so dope. Wow. They were just laying there. You could pet them.
So this is open to the public?
It's open to you got to pay to go in there. It's open to the public. What else did they have? They had a bunch of goats. One of the goats needed to be milked. Those nipples were definitely filled,
out.
like super. They smelled like goat cheese. Like ready
I
to
love
go.
goat cheese.
Yeah, the ostrich.
Wow.
If I ever see an ostrich in the wild, Jenna,
They're kind of scary.
Yeah, they're very scary.
They're mean, aren't they?
And he was sizing me up because I was staring at his lady. The girl told me. I was like, "What's up with this guy?" He was staring up at me and doing his neck thing. I was like, "Yo,
what's the name of this place?
Can
you share it? Do you know?
I forgot.
Because I feel like a lot of people listening, me mainly, are interested in going to said farm.
My wife posted it. It's a lady's name, Kathy's.
Kathy's
Critters.
Kathy's Critters.
That's what it was. Kathy's Critters. Yeah.
But hey, I love that. Okay, Kathy's Critters. If any of y'all listening have some
awesome.
animals, because I missed out on an opportunity. One of y'all, maybe you're still listening, wrote me, and you live on the other side of Fort Worth, and you have, what are those horses? They're small with the long hair.
A donkey?
No, they're Scottish. Scotland. Scotland. Oh God, y'all are.
I know what you're talking about.
What I
They're
get
cute.
for not Googling. I know, and he's Googling right now. Tell me what it's called.
They're like tiny little horses that look fancy.
They have long hair and they're gorgeous. Anyway, someone invited me to come see their
Highland pony.
Highland pony. Yeah. Why did I say, is Scotland anywhere part of that?
Highlanders.
Yeah, Scotland Highlander.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, if y'all have a farm, I mean, it's my dream. I would love, Fran and I talk about it all the time since we've been looking at houses because, in certain zoning, even in Dallas proper, you can have certain farm animals. And so, I mean, the loose rule is like an acre per full size animal. So like if you had a mini pig, you could probably get away with half an acre, or like a mini pony or something. You just can't have a lot of animals on a small lot, or that's like, apparently that's just the guideline. Like you're supposed to have an acre per
Okay.
large beast. Anyway, if anyone has that, like I would just
Shouldn't have
love
those.
to come see some animals.
She had regular horses.
If I showed you what the Highland looks like, you would know. They're
Yeah, I probably have seen 'em.
gorgeous with long hair. They're so cute.
I do want a kangaroo though. The kangaroos are so cool. They were just laying out, lounging, and they were letting you pet them,
I
and you
wonder
could
where
feed
she
them.
keeps them when it's freezing.
I'm sure they have their.
Do they seem like taken care of well?
Yeah, they seem like they were having a good time.
Yeah.
The goats were the ones having the best time.
Fran wanted me to go this weekend to that place I've never been. That I'm really bad with words right now. That park that's a couple hours from here that has all the safari park.
Oh, the one with the
Fossil Rim.
not the big cat adventure.
No, Fossil Rim.
Okay.
But I'm like, I feel bad for those animals.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are rescue, so you figure that they came from a bad situation and now they're being placed in a better situation, and they
Yeah.
can't be re-released into the wild because they don't have their wits about them, or they don't know how to survive out there in the wild. So that's the way I look at it. So if I see that these are rescue animals, I'm all good with it, which is what we tend to see. And then you got the people that are like the Joe Exotic that are not
Yeah, I mean, it is.
good people.
It's a better experience to see the ones there because they're used to humans.
Right.
Unlike being, when you're at Yellowstone, you kind of forget because you're like, well, these animals are wild and they stay far away and they hate people, and you have to keep your distance or you get in trouble. Like you're not allowed to just like walk up and be like, oh, you're so cute, Bison. I'm gonna pet you on the head.
Well, all these animals are really friendly at this lady's farm. They're all coming up to us, getting food. They're well taken care of. Now, are you taking care of yourself is what we want to ask you here, because you can do that. Care of is a wellness brand, and it makes it easy to maintain your health goals with a customized vitamin plan that helps you feel your best today and supports you long term. Now, this is important. We had a conversation, my friends and I recently. We're like, hey, do you take vitamins? Are you supplementing right? And I was shocked that a lot of my friends don't. And they need to.
Look,
We need
it's hard. I mean, this was me. I only started doing better when I was trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And I think what makes it exponentially harder is you just don't know what to take, or like, why
Exactly.
are these vitamins cost this much? Or you go into a store and they just upsell you on all this stuff that you probably don't need. But that's why Care Of's so great, because you take this personalized quiz, or you take a quiz so they can personalize your supplement regimen to you. They're going to send you these pre-portioned out packs of vitamins. So that's what makes it easy for me, is that it's convenient. Like I have to keep stuff by my bed, so I at least do it in the morning or at night, and I don't always do it at the same time. But if I throw stuff in my purse or then I forget, then it's downstairs. It's so nice just to have little packs right next to the bed.
And you know what's really cool? You can follow their recommendations when it comes to vitamins after you take your 5-minute quiz. But if you hear that you should be taking something else, or you need something added to your pack, you can actually you can adjust it at any time. It's totally up to you. Care of is awesome. And if you want to try it out, for 50% off your first Care of order, just go to takecareof.com/fitish50 and enter the code FITISH50.
Yeah, that's Fitish50. 50% off your first Care of order at takecareof.com/Fitish50 and enter the code FITISH50. Again, that's the number.
I think I'm scaring my best friend, Jenna. David.
Thorges?
Yeah.
Why do you call him David when we all know him as Thorges?
Because, I feel like you need to introduce the name and also let people know he's Thorges.
Thorges is way more memorable.
He goes by Thorges because he has long hair and is also very built, and actually kind of very much resembles Thor.
I remember working at the office when we first met this guy. He's just like a dream of a guy, because he's like a wonderful husband and father. He started this charitable foundation, this adaptive training foundation.
Yep.
So he's helping. I mean, you can speak to this better than I can, right? But mostly, it was like a lot of vets and military, right?
It started off with a veteran that he met named Travis Mills, who was he's a quadruple amputee. He was blown up in war. He was like one of 5 that survived such an injury. And so he started training Travis, and then he met other veterans, and then it turned into this foundation where he just not only treats veterans but also civilians now. So people that have been involved in accidents, whether it be automotive or it could be a house fire or anything, anybody that's been, that feels down and out because of something that occurred to them, he wants to bring them in and show them like, yo, you could still be active and fit, and you could still take care of your mental. That's where it's at.
It's a great
your
follow on
mental.
Instagram, by the way, his gym, because I mean, you're seeing people that have, lost limbs and like what JC said, all different ages, from kids to grown men, and the things that they're learning at that gym. And I mean, gosh, you haven't been working out, you're going to feel like a real piece of shit, because these people are, they may not have
They're
2
inspirations.
legs, but they're flipping tires, and just kind of the growth growth that you see, and they post all of this stuff anyway. Yeah, it's just amazing.
Anything is possible, right? With their foundation, that's what they want you to believe is anything
really,
is possible.
Yeah, really cool.
But man, I think I've done something around David that I've only done around my parents, and I think maybe Kinsey. If I were an animal, I would be a fainting goat.
Okay.
You know, the goats that faint and they just.
That would be like the animal you would choose to be?
No,
or
that's just probably what I would be, Jenna.
Your soul animal is a fainting goat?
I think that's what I am because out of all my
after
friends.
That gecko story, it makes sense.
Yeah. We go on this vacation every year with our couple friends, with David and his wife and our other friend. We were in Miami and we were on the balcony just hanging out, David and I, having a drink.
Was this recently?
This was a couple years ago.
Oh. And
I fainted. I fainted to where his wife thought I fell over, right? I don't like fainting in front of people. If I ever feel like I'm going to faint, and I get it. I feel it coming out.
You would go to a room alone and hit your head and no one knows?
No, I don't go in a room alone, but I will go. I've gone into closets and laid down and fainted.
Okay.
I put myself in a situation where I'm not around people because it's just.
The more people around, the more chance someone can catch you.
I'd sit down on my own, and I like to be on the ground on my own and just faint, and I wake up and everything's cool. So I fainted with him in Miami, which was embarrassing. His wife thought she was freaking out. It was my anniversary with Kinsey too. Kinsey was not. It's scary. It's 2 years ago. I went to go see David recently, and he's been very careful when it comes to COVID and everything because he is around so many people that that are limited and they want to stay healthy. And so we're finally hanging out, and my son had something going on. So I stopped by, and then I had to go pick up my son. I stopped by David's house. And we're literally in his garage just catching up. Was it a hot day? Absolutely. But my dude is in the middle of a story, Jenna. I couldn't even tell you what the story was because in my head, it started happening. All the telltale signs of me fainting were starting to occur. I felt it in my heart rate. And then all of a sudden I get really sweaty right before clammy right before I'm about to faint. And all these things are happening, and he's telling me this story, and I'm looking at him like trying to be nice. And so I'm looking at him like I'm nodding a lot. I remember I'm smiling. I have no idea what he's saying. And then I remember saying, I'm gonna sit down right here, and I sit down on this chest, and he's still talking. And next thing I know, I'm waking up to double vision, and David's thumping me in the face. That's what he did the first time. He's thumping me right above my lip. He says it's supposed to help you wake up. And he's looking at me, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "I fainted." He goes, "Dude, that's like the second time in our friendship that you fainted in front of me." And I'm like, "I know, man. I'm sorry." He goes, I thought you were just being a dick and not listening to the story I was telling you.
But you have had a fainting issue here and there, right?
Yes, but I don't know why. And I was at children's hospitals for a while. They did tests. I don't know why I faint. I don't know why. And it just happens. And it's the most.
How many times a year?
It depends. Sometimes I'll go a whole entire year without fainting.
Yeah, so maybe like average once or twice a year.
Yeah, maybe once or twice. I did it one time in front of the kids, which scared them.
But you also can feel it coming on.
Yeah.
So if you were driving or something, you would know to
absolutely
pull over and park.
It's never ever happened while I've been driving. It's at the most weirdest times.
Man, I wish they had hospitals that could scan.
Yeah, they can, and they've scanned me, and every time they come back, you're normal, you're fine. Brain is working.
Do you have a blood sugar issue? Have you gotten your blood checked?
Blood is it's fine.
Really?
I've gotten when I get my physicals. Yeah, they do the blood work.
I know how to diagnose you, but
I don't know. I just feel like I'm broken. But now it's to the point where I'm like, man, I can't be passing out in front of my boys because then if I call David and be, hey, you want to hang out? I don't want him to be like, no, I'm busy, but he's not busy. He's just telling me that because he doesn't want me to be all fainty in front of him.
No, he doesn't care.
Shit, man. I'm like, I need to stop fainting in front of my boys.
If anything, people are just going to be scared you're going to hit your head on something. That's what I would be more. That would be the biggest.
Only time I hit my head was the first time I fainted as a kid because I didn't know what was happening. Yeah. I fainted and I hit my head pretty hard. After that, I sit down and I just.
It's normal. I always remember kids fainting in school.
Really?
I never did, but I always remember it happening. Yeah, I remember taking school pictures one year and you just would hear someone thump off the riser.
You know what sucks too? And look, if somebody ever faints in front of you, and this is what scarred me one time. They lose control of their body. Okay, and if
That's
certain
a better story. Did you shit or piss?
in college.
Yeah.
So we're around a bonfire. And I was dating Kinsey at the time. We were around a bonfire and I felt it coming on. We're at the
You're so
fraternity
lucky
house.
she stayed with you.
Right? Because I remember I got up and I went and sat on the grass and I fainted.
Yeah.
And then I woke up till about 30 people looking over me. And I remember Kinsey took her jacket off and put it on
your waist?
On my waist part. And it was hot that day. And I go, oh, what's going on? She goes, we got to go home. I go, no, it's okay. I just fainted. I'll be fine. She goes, no, we got to go home.
Nothing about this is
I'm
fine.
like, why? And she goes, we just maybe want to go home. And I said, I don't know why you want to go home. And I went to get up and I went to like adjust my pants and I felt it. I peed myself. And she was the only one that noticed it.
Oh, that's so good.
She noticed it and covered me up right away so nobody else could tell that I pissed myself.
They
when
smelled
I fainted.
it.
No, I didn't smell it. I'm still pretty hydrated. It's not like a obscene smell. And she covered me up and took me home, but I peed myself. That was one time. I peed myself twice when I fainted. So every time now when I wake up, I feel my crotch.
Yeah.
So if you ever see me faint and you see me grab my crotch, I'm not being a pervert.
Now I'm going to pour water in the time that you faint and wake up.
Don't do that.
I'm going to pour water and chocolate on your pants. So when you wake up, you're like, oh shit, it's getting worse.
So if anybody's out is a fainting goat like I am, yo, you're not alone. I'm with you. I fainted with our coworkers one time when we were at a hockey game. That sucked.
I remember that.
I'm with freaking Russ face, and I'm supposed to be manlier than Russ, and I had to hand him my beer, and
This is a good way out of work sometimes, though.
we weren't even working. We were just at a hockey game. I'm trying to enjoy some dudes bashing each other.
I'm trying to help you out. Why don't you faint at more opportune times to get out of things in life that you don't want to do?
Oh, like fake it.
Duh.
How do I fake the sweats and the loss of color?
What do you mean? You're an actor. You just have to
I'm a
think
thespian.
about what it's like when you feel like you're going to faint and then just do it. You can pull it off.
We should play one day at work, and I'll do it.
Faint, yeah.
Did I faint or not?
Faint or fake.
Yeah, faint or fake, and see if they could tell the difference.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you can figure that out at some juncture.
Probably
and then
won't.
you didn't pass it on to your kids yet. Probably won't.
None of my kids have fainted yet.
We
so
got
we're
a
good.
couple of questions,
Okay.
kind of all over the board, which is why I love y'all, all of the listeners of the podcast, because you're all over the place with the stuff that you ask us to talk about, which is cool. So hopefully you're fine being as random as we are. But I actually haven't even fully read through this email, but it seems interesting.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say her name just in case, but this is from a woman who grew up listening to the shows, says, love the podcast and fetish stuff. Wanted to give you my personal experience marrying into a Mexican family and not knowing any Spanish.
Shout out.
Yeah, I got to get back on my lessons. My
I
husband,
know Spanish, but my wife is the shout out on this. And Jenna is getting in there.
I'm not proud of it. My husband and I have been together for 8 years. We have 2 children together. We live in West Texas, where my husband was raised. All my family lives in East Texas, so we're extremely involved with my husband's. All of his brothers, sisters, parents live here. We see them every week. The beginning of our relationship, my mother-in-law and father-in-law would try to speak English and carry on conversations with me. But for the past 2 years, they don't even try to communicate with me outside of bye, good night, thank you, are you hungry? They are amazing people, but I feel like I have absolutely no relationship with these people I spend hours a week with. My kids also do not know Spanish because I was a stay-at-home mom with them until they started pre-K.
Oh.
I feel like my kids don't have a close relationship to their grandparents either because of the language barrier. They often make comments to my husband as to why he never taught our kids Spanish. My husband speaks Spanish with his friends, coworkers, family, and he always has to translate for me, and I think he gets tired of it. I wish I would have made the commitment years ago to learn and teach my kids, but I didn't, mainly because I had my boys back to back and I was just busy keeping tiny humans alive. If I could go back and do things differently, I would learn Spanish at the beginning of our marriage, especially when my mother-in-law was willing to teach me. Now, 8 years later, she's kind of over it.
Aww.
The advice I would give about marrying into a Mexican family is do not give up on learning Spanish. It will take some time, years even, but do not give up. Okay, there was no question. She was just telling me I really need to learn Spanish. And I totally agree with you. I do. And you're absolutely right. I mean, his parents are taking English lessons. But again, maybe this is just me, but I feel like such an ignorant American, and I have a lot of resentment about a lot of stuff in America in general, hence the reason I want to move to Europe. There's just so much about what's going on in the world that makes me, I feel kind of grossed out to be an American sometimes. So I'm sorry if that's controversial, but this is one of those reasons. You go to other countries, and if you become more traveled, literally everyone in the world knows English, and most of us only know English, and it's so fucked up.
They pampered us. They learn our language.
Kids in school in France know English. You go to Spain, people can speak English to you. And, you go to the Middle East and everyone knows English. And I mean, that's wonderful, but it makes me feel ridiculous. So it's not as much, I think, a lot of people will be like, well, they should speak English in our country. It's like most of them do. Like most people know English. Or at least wouldn't you speak your own language too? Especially with how many Mexicans live here. Of course they're going to speak Spanish to one another.
Now, here's one of my friends talked about so he's like me. He moved here with his family when he was a kid, and he had a younger sister that was a baby when they moved out here from Mexico. And his parents, she knows Spanish, but didn't make it a priority.
Yeah.
And they said it was because they thought it would hinder her from getting a job later on in life. When it's the opposite, right?
Yeah, now it's an asset.
It's an asset, but they felt like people judged them based on their accent or based on the fact that they spoke Spanish, and they thought that was hindering them from getting a job. So they figured that would hinder her.
And it's changed now.
And it's changed. It's a completely 180. It's if you want to speak 2 languages, and that's why my kids, as much as they fight me on it, I get so much shit, Jenna, from my people, like, oh, you're not speaking in Spanish to your kids in that video on Instagram. You're not at my house.
They speak Spanish though, your kids.
My kids are they're in a dual language school.
Yeah.
So they speak one day is Spanish, the other day is English. One day Spanish, one day is English. Is it harder for them? Yes. Is it more confusing for them? Absolutely.
Yeah, but their brains at a young age. I mean, Fran and I are 100%. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. Our child is going to learn Spanish, and likely, I mean, they say you even need to speak more Spanish to the child than English. It's going to be difficult for me because I'm not there yet, but it's just a must for me.
Yeah.
Anyone that we hire to help us is going to be Spanish speaking for sure. And that's something we've talked about, when it comes time for us to get a nanny during the week to help in the beginning, Spanish speaking for sure. And I'll say you can speak to that kid in Spanish because they could learn 5 languages, but by the time they're 5 years old, it's crazy.
Cool hack that I saw that I might try with Kinsey with our Raycons.
Yes.
So throw your Raycons in, because now they have these cool translating apps. And if you have your Raycon earbuds in, your app will pick up whatever they're saying in whatever language, and then it translates it for you in your ear.
Okay, I got to do this because I think we're going to go visit his family in Mexico City. And
it's pretty genius.
Yeah.
And also, they probably won't even be able to tell that you're wearing your Raycon earbuds because they just slide right into your ears just like that. The noise canceling is awesome. It's not just for translating. You could also listen to music on there because the bass is booming on that. You can do your conference calls. A lot of us are still working from home.
I can't do a whole lot in my life without audio, right?
Yeah.
And especially from traveling to being at work. I mean, I'm always listening to music or a podcast of some sort. And so if you want a great pair of wireless earbuds that are going to cost you a heck of a lot less than some of the other brands that you're familiar with on the market, you need to check out Raycon. And Raycon's work earbuds are the most recent ones we got. They're a game changer. They're perfect for anytime, anywhere. You're going to cut out the noise, right? So it is great for traveling. And like JC said, I need to check out. You're talking about an app on the phone, right?
Yeah,
for
but
translating.
you could use your Raycons. That's what I'm going to slide them in there for Kinsey so she's not, she's incognito.
A 32-hour battery life and super comfortable with a soft velvet finish. And just go check it out. Buyraycon.com/Fitish. You're going to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buy, B-U-Y, Raycon, RAYCON.com/Fitish for 15% off your Raycons today. Hey, go buy some and then buy some for the holiday for someone that you love or the whole family because they're going to be that affordable. Buyraycon.com/Fitish.
What else we got from our friends, our Fitish friends?
Okay, let's see. I have this from Devin.
Oh, hey, what's up, Devin?
Hey, Jenna and JC, I'm loving the podcast and look forward to it every week. Also, shout out to the sub Mexican and sub white girl. Well,
Kinsey and Fran.
oh yeah. I was wondering who the sub white girl was. Yeah. My question is, with spooky season coming up, what scary movies / series do you recommend? I know in the past Jenna's mentioned a website. She has found great underground recommendations. Thank you both. Underground. I'm always looking. I mean, these days you come across TikToks and stuff where people make recommendations. I'm going to say this, like I think I've seen every scary movie that exists.
Did you see the new Candyman?
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one yet. Fran wants to see it, but I wasn't a fan of the old Candyman.
Really?
I don't know. It's kind of average.
I think that was the first. I watched the first one when I was a kid. Again, Jenna and I come from our parents didn't know what we were watching, I don't think. Or maybe if they knew what she was watching.
No, my parents
they knew
I was a serial killer in training.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My parents would just throw me in the room when they had friends over and I would just put in scary movies.
My first word was witch.
Yeah.
Which? Like my mom was like, oh fuck.
But the first Candyman, that's my first boob I remember seeing.
Yeah.
I think there was a boob in a bathtub, and I was like, damn.
A boob in a bathtub.
Yeah, she was in a bathtub. She died. But I haven't seen it either, but I've heard it's pretty good.
Okay, Devin, I'm going to have to like email you or something and come up with some of these scary movies and series. I'm trying to think. I just watched Don't Breathe 2. It wasn't very good. I don't know if you saw the first one, but I am of the generation that I think older horror movies are much scarier. And then I've definitely found some like really fucked up horror movies that I don't like to recommend because I feel like when I recommend them and you go watch them, you're going to be like, whoa, Jenna. Like that's like a snuff film? Yeah.
That's too much.
You know, or like that other one I recommended. There's some really good foreign. I find these days that French, like foreign language films are actually, we redo them in America and make them worse. And some scary movies that are done. And I sound like such an America hater. I'm not. But, you know, some of these movies like High Tension's a really good scary movie that's in French and with a twist that you don't see coming. I just think that some of these European horror movies are really good because less is more. Like they're more into the suspense of things and the twist. And then in America, we've gotten into that whole like Saw franchise and, you know, things get really gory. For me, I mean, if you've never seen like the old Halloweens are my favorite with Jamie Lee Curtis and The Shining's so good. And I love the original When a Stranger Calls. If you haven't seen that movie from the 70s, this movie is so scary. The original. Don't go watch the one from the 2000s, like
the OG.
The original Black Christmas. Yeah, these are movies that I actually found to be very scary because they weren't like blood and guts, because I don't actually find that to be very scary. I like the someone's in the house kind of suspense, because that intruder horror to me is the scariest.
Like The Strangers?
Like happen. I think The Strangers is a really good scary movie. I think they did a good job with that.
How do you feel? Because my daughter and my son, now that you're going to be a mom, and what if little baby Fran Jr. comes up at like 7 or 8, like my kids?
Yeah, and wants to watch an R-rated movie.
They want to, and it's not just any R-rated, because they know there's some that they should definitely not watch, but they really, really keep asking about watching it. And I think about it. It's not
Man,
crazy gory.
I remember not knowing what to expect in that first scene of it with that little boy looking down the sewer, and with what happens, you knew that set the tone for the movie. I mean, he rips his arm off, and you're like, oh, that's how this movie's gonna go.
So like, and that's as gory as it gets. I saw
it when I was that age, the original Stephen King that was like 3 VHSs.
Yeah, and you're like normal, like you're pretty chill.
I turned out normal. Yeah, I loved being scared. My mom said, it's so funny. We have to ask Candy about this because this is a whole conversation her and I have. She said, you have no idea how hard it was at the age of 5. You were saying to me like witch. And I thought you just wanted to be a witch for Halloween, but you wanted to watch stuff
like witchy stuff.
You wanted to watch like movies that were scary. And she goes, it is such a challenge as a parent when you have a 5-year-old that wants to see something scary. And so, you know, you'd watch a Disney show that might have like a scary, you know, the kind of spooky season kind of Disney, and that I would just be like, I love it, I want more. And she goes, it's so hard to find PG rated scary movies. They almost don't exist. And so she said by the time I want to say I was like 11 when Misery came out. I don't know if you've seen that movie with Kathy Bates and James Caan, and she's the obsessed stalker of him. It's actually like a really heavy, scary movie. And my mom said, she's like, I felt like the worst parent, but you so badly wanted to see something scary. So I took you to the movie theater to see it, thinking you would be like, like I knew it'd probably give you nightmares and then I'd be a terrible parent because of it. And so I remember getting lemon heads and not even eating them because I was so hyped about getting to see a horror movie. And my mom said I sat there the whole time in my seat, that I was scared and gripping it, and I didn't move. And at the end of the movie, she's like, so? And she was so scared the whole time. She doesn't really like scary movies. She said, I looked at her at the end and I was like, I loved it. And she's like, fuck. So ever since then, I mean, I've seen almost every worthy horror movie that exists. And she said what she had to look for was like the non-sexual. And that's what my stepmom and dad do now, because their kids are the same. I mean, I think it's like an inherited thing that kids just like want to see scary stuff. So she would take me to haunted houses, or I would start with haunted hay rides. And then she would look for, sometimes I think she would have to pre-watch them. And my dad had seen everything too. Some of the Stephen King stuff, you know, and that's why I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, it's scary with the clown, and they may be scared of clowns forever, but you got to pick movies that aren't like sexualized violence.
And there's a lot of sex in these horror movies.
That's what's so fucked up these days about movies. It's like you're seeing like torture and rape and like all this stuff that's just terrible. So you got to try and find R-rated movies that don't have like really explicit sex scenes. But again, that's why going back to some old school Halloweens and stuff. I mean, a couple of them have soft sex scenes that you can kind of block out. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it's just suspenseful and scary and not super bloody and not super sexual.
You know what was scary one time? One time I was cat sitting for a neighbor of ours when I was in my old apartment.
I mean, you
complex.
didn't have to tell that part.
We we were cat sitting for our friend's mom, and they went out of town.
You could have said house sitting, you know, and we would have been like,
that was for the cats. I was just basically going in and feeding the cats, and then I'd get out. But there was they had these VHS tapes, and my boy and I were like, I wonder what these movies are, because they didn't have any labels on them. We put it in. It was our parents. Yeah. And it scared the crap out of me to the world. As soon as you see it, first of all, it's creepy. Those back in the day VHS tapes were creepy looking just in general. And as soon as
you would think it was a snuff film.
Yeah, as soon as we saw it, I remember we both looked at each other and we were like, oh. And here's the problem is we had put it in and we played a certain amount of time. And as soon as we realized what it was, we got scared. We turned it off. But I never rewound it. And to this day, I remember going back to their house to return the keys, giving it to them. And I think they must have noticed that I went in there, because I got a weird look from her it was a stepdad, two of the girls. I got a weird look at the stepdad. And from then on, he was very standoffish towards me. And I think they knew that I saw what's up, the thing. And then I found my dad's once, but it wasn't a homemade film. That was like, he had his own little, but it was like a softcore one.
His own little what? Oh, like just porn. It wasn't
it was
him.
like, I'm like, you went and bought like a $5.99 one when you could have just spruced out the $4 and gotten the $9.99, the full version. It was like
it's so much easier to
Cinemax.
delete our history now. I mean, with kids, I mean, that's what's scary is like kids could watch porn and you would never even know for the most part if they didn't have to buy it, if you just were signed up.
And that's
back
scary.
in the day. I mean, now I realize like I probably bought porn when I had like in high school with guy friends over, and like my dad was seeing all those bills, or my mom was thinking it was my dad, and that's why they got divorced. Yeah.
See, you were buying them. We were going to it was channel 99 when I was growing up.
You got like a little
channel 99. Sometimes it would freeze up at the right moment. You would see one boob or a vagina. And you're like, damn, we made it. Didn't even have pictures for camera phones, so we couldn't even take a picture of it. We would just have to mentally remember that little blurry nipple that would pop up as teenagers.
Well,
man, we had it rough.
Yeah.
We had it rough. Now it's all easy for everybody.
It is easy. Well, I think we're out of time this week, so I'll get to some of the other questions next week. Be sure to write us. info@fitish.com is the email address that is best, and I can go through those before we do it again next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, if you like what you hear, make sure you join us for another episode next week of the Fitish Podcast.
Super easy. Just subscribe.
Today, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle. DirecTV Stream brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part? There's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
Freakonomics Radio is sponsored by Adidas. Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
VaxStats. It's time for VaxStats. If you're young and healthy, you are more likely to crash your car than have a serious side effect of the COVID-19 vaccine. So get vaxxed, y'all. Visit vaccinate.virginia.gov.
Anyone can be ready for back to school. But with Staples Connect, you can be more than ready. Like, I got everything on my list and saved a ton ready. Staples has everything you need and more for the new school year. Just visit your nearest Staples store or go to staplesconnect.com for inspiration.
VaxStats. It's time for VaxStats. If you're young and healthy, you are more likely to crash your car than have a serious side effect of the COVID-19 vaccine. So get vaxxed, y'all. Visit vaccinate.virginia.gov.